Not for us, right? But some people, that's their song right now.
Remember we heard that in Portugal?
We were out of all places, you know. Well, we pray that song does not relate to you, but according to the topic, it's apropos right now. So I'm Dr. Otis Miller. I'm Associate Pastor of Russian Springs Baptist Church and retired aquatic animal health veterinarian. This is Annquinetta, my lovely wife, who's an RN and a diplomat specializing in ophthalmic surgery. I like that sound. Look, our marriages combined, you know, the marital experience. That's about 76 years. And we combined, we have a lot of territory we've covered. Now, I was married for 37 years to Talina Daniel Miller, and we had 3 sons in that relationship, Isaac, Joseph, and Joshua. Talina's been in heaven for 7 years. I married Annquinetta about 5 years ago, and that's been a tremendous blessing. You want to tell them about yourself a little?
Well, of course, as he said, I'm a registered nurse, and I have 41 years of experience in ophthalmology, and that has been my niche, as you see. I was married for 21 years the first time, and that ended, unfortunately, in a divorce, but I had 3 beautiful children that came out of that relationship, and that was Garnetta, Francesca, and Gary Jr., and then single mom for 10 years. So I tried it again, and I was married for 14 years, and like Otis's wife, Talina, he's in heaven with the Lord, and then 5 years. So my years now are 40. You and that is 40 years, but that was a lot of wonderful things that we experienced, and that's why we can talk about some of these things, because we've experienced a lot of these things.
Yep, and God has put us together.
Yes, he has.
We were not looking to get married again.
No.
And I thought, you know, I had the best that most people don't even get the first time around. So I thought, well, I'm done. So I wasn't, as they call it, in the market. But the Lord saw different. And so by us being together, we can cover a lot of topics like we just mentioned. You know, long-term spouse marriages, remarriages, death due to a spouse, divorce, single spouse parenting.
But he saved the best for last.
I believe so.
He's a little prejudice there, but
I'm enjoying the journey.
Wonderful journey.
Okay, well, look, we want to welcome you to this new quarter we're in. We've got a new series, and the series title is Keeping Your Marriage Fresh.
Yes.
Okay, and so we appreciate you following and listening to us this evening.
And there's nothing worse than a stale marriage. And for the next 25, 30 minutes or so, we will be teaching our class on the most unrecognized threat to a marriage.
Okay, I like that title. So we'll look at, I guess, humorously, where you can end up if you don't recognize that threat, right?
Yeah.
So
let's vigilant now.
Get ready. Okay, so we are going to let you be able to see us on this one. So we'll be up in the corner here and go through with you. So, again, Russian Springs Baptist Church Marriage Ministry, where we are the teachers of that. And here we are. And this is our flyer announcing the class that we are teaching today, the unrecognized threat to your marriage.
Exactly. Keeping it fresh.
Well, if you don't, here we go.
All right, a little icebreaker here. A friend said, we go to a nice restaurant once a week and enjoy a good meal and some relaxing music. That's a nice little date night.
That's a good date night. She goes on Tuesday and I go on Fridays.
That's not what I had in mind.
Like I said, this is what can happen when you don't recognize this threat. Okay. Let's try one more. A man shared he and his wife agreed to never go to bed angry at each other. And that's a good thing right there.
Good thing,
never go
to bed.
I mean, that's what you should do.
Well, the Bible says that don't go to sleep with the wrath.
That's right. Don't let the sun go down.
Right. So
I'm glad. So let's see what happened here since they didn't recognize the threat.
As a result, though, they have not slept together in years.
Ooh.
I don't
think that's where it's supposed to end up,
that's
right?
not the way the Bible talks about it.
Okay, that's not the way you want to handle it. But if you don't recognize the threat, you can drift to this area.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what we're going to be talking about to try to help you see what we're talking about. So we got a question, right? Yes.
Big question.
And this is to you guys. Do you know the most unrecognized threat to your marriage relationship? What that is?
It could be a lot of things.
You could?
I can hear people saying, "Oh, infidelity, money, da 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 da."
Those are recognized.
They are recognized.
We're talking about unrecognized threats, things you don't even think about. Couldn't what? All of a sudden somebody said, "Well, I don't love you anymore." You're like, "Huh? What?
What happened?"
Huh? Let me get the memo on that. Well, Annquinetta, tell them, what's this unrecognized threat?
The unrecognized threat is routine.
Routine.
And this brings to mind, I saw a movie 2 nights ago with Tyler Perry.
Okay.
And he and his soon-to-be fiance.
Oh, he's getting married.
He's getting married.
Finally.
And when they were living together, we don't talk about that.
Oh, well, that's another subject.
Yeah,
we did talk about that, though. Yeah, we got a video teaching on that.
But the point was, she noticed that they were drifting apart. Oh. And she could recite every move he made every day he came home. And she said, it's routine. She said everything that he did, from coming in, putting the briefcase down, sitting down, to flipping through the news, the time he goes to bed. I mean, the whole 10. Oh. And unfortunately, fortunately, they both recognized it in the end. Yes.
Oh, that's right on.
The thrill was gone.
The thrill was gone. And they hadn't got married.
They hadn't got married, but they had lived together.
And already.
But that was her thing. Our problem is routine.
So,
good movie.
Wow. So, what does routine do for a marriage?
Well, routine can certain things, situations, it is necessary as far as bringing up a family and all these things that you go through, church relationships, all those things. But it often attracts you to other persons who you wouldn't want to be with. There's no dependability, no trustworthiness. It becomes too predictable. Your whole life is predictable. You know what they're going to do all the time. Mm-hmm. And who wants something stale?
You just described it, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's some good parts about a routine.
Yes.
But we're not talking about recognized threats today.
Yes.
We're talking about what's unrecognized. Mm-hmm. Like recognized would be handling your finances. Mm-hmm. You want to have a marriage where the husband and wife, they can talk about the consistency and the dependability that they have in finances. They know what's going on. That's good. You can have kids though, and then as your kids grow, you need to be able to adapt and adjust. So you got to be flexible. So there's this balance that's involved.
So what you're saying, routine can destroy a marriage. How do you do it? How does this happen? Why is it such a threat?
Routine, spiritually speaking, kills revelation. Routine robs creativity. Routine prevents you from going further into the things God intended for you. That's on the spiritual side. On the natural side, it removes the element of surprise and spontaneity. It dampens the intrigue and prevents unexpected joy and unknown pleasures from happening. We have several things that we do. Date nights, cookouts, cook-ins, secretly giving each other gifts and presents. That's not on a holiday.
And they may only cost $1.
That's right. And they are what we call just because. Mm-hmm. But let me show you what I mean about where routine is okay, but then routine's a problem. If your date night is every Thursday, that's a routine. Every Thursday you're going on routine. Is that bad? No. But if you go to the same place every time, do the same thing every time, that's what we're talking about where routine's a problem. For our date nights, if I can say, I don't know where she's taking me. She won't tell me where we're going. I don't know till we get there. And, I do it the same way. It may be international travel, or this may be down the street. It could be wherever. She doesn't know where it's going to be or where we're going. And that is that element of surprise. There's that element of spontaneity. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it does put that little nice aspect into the relationship that keeps it fresh.
It is. It's suspenseful and it's fun. You want to have fun in a marriage. Just because you're married doesn't mean you have to just die on the vine. So a lot of times you don't recognize that you're not showing appreciation for the little things that they may do.
Yeah.
Or you're not saying that you're thankful for it. There's no respect. And
no
your mind is no gratitude. You're saying to yourself, well, that's what they're supposed to do.
Ugh.
Oh, that's not.
I hate that.
No, that's did you say deal breaker?
That's
I definitely would just put you in.
As a man, you're supposed to go to work. That you're supposed to earn for your family. You're supposed to do that, but you don't want to feel like
You're obligated.
You're doing what you're supposed to do. Yeah, but
I mean, the woman feels the same way. She goes to work, she comes home, she keeps the house clean, she takes care of the kids, and you never show her any gratitude or just go give her hugs and thank you for what you've done for her kids.
Like,
so
where's the dinner at?
Yeah.
Why you sit on the couch?
Why you late?
Yeah.
Why dinner's not ready? Who wants to hear that?
Yeah. Does that make you feel close?
Yeah.
Does that draw you into intimacy?
Make you want to box. Make you want to box.
It's unrecognized, at least to the person that's not doing it, but the person that's on the receiving end. Yeah. So the flexibility, which is the art of being adaptable, for the couple's relationship, this is going to be key for their stability of that relationship to be satisfying. So you got to have flexibility, but it's got to be tempered. So it's going to have some degree of stability, some degree of consistency. A balance is needed. But before we get too much into this, we need to get this disclaimer, don't we?
We should. We know that everybody does not fit in the same category. There's some marriages where you had a routine, you live with that routine.
It works for you.
You've done that for 50 years. We're not talking to you.
Right.
This
class is not for you.
We are and we're not, because the same thing, just because you've done something the same way 50 years does not mean that your spouse would not like a welcome change.
Right.
That actually may give a heart attack if you did something like that. So
you've accepted your situation,
right?
But that doesn't mean
that it's right.
It's right because.
And I've heard somebody say that. Well, he's not going to do anything more. I mean, you may as well leave him alone, because they dealt with that for 40 or 50 years, and so it becomes like, well, I can't get him to go walking.
Annquinetta, I know a lady, a friend of mine, when they take vacations, she goes with her girlfriends. I'm like, it's like the restaurant, right?
I like my girlfriends, but we're gonna take a trip.
Yeah,
I think I'd rather have you.
Yeah, that's kind of like the guy they go into the same restaurant on different days.
Yeah.
Some of them went wrong there. You might say this is our normal and this is our routine,
and it ain't broke, so we're not gonna fix it. But yes, it's broke.
It's a dull situation, and so what I want to say is, it's kind of like these threats. They unrecognized. They're not obvious to us. It's like a termite. You don't really see termites in your house, Just one day you wake up and the house is falling apart. When it starts falling apart, then you see the termites. You see them at the end, but you didn't know what was going on as the time goes on. So it can be a problem.
I'll use that same analogy. We know the termites work at the core, and routine is that same way, is working at the core of your marriage. But you get little hints along the way that you typically will ignore.
Right.
So start paying attention to those little hints,
Mhm.
you know, and we've given you some already
Yeah.
about change your routine.
Mhm. Yeah. And let's go biblical on you.
Okay. They need a word.
You want a word?
They need a word.
Here's John 10:10, and I'm reading that to amplify. So you know this part A, the thief comes only in order to steal, kill, and destroy. But part B,
Who's the thief?
the devil is the thief. Satan is the thief. So the second part B, Jesus says, I came that they may have and enjoy life and have it in abundance to the full and to overflowing. Now, one thing about abundant life, abundant life is not boring. Abundant life is not dull. It's not just existing day to day. And it's not just doing the same thing over and over and over again. This abundant life is not just surviving. This life is thriving. It's thriving. So that's what we are trying to get you to see, that there's much more life to live than what you're currently experiencing.
Right. And on a different note, biblically, we go to God in a marriage. You should have God as part of your marriage. Absolutely. And as we taught this. Absolutely. And if you go to him in prayer, tell him what the problem is, he will open up the windows and pour out his blessings to you. And we don't know always how he's going to bless us, but he gives us the desires of our heart. So we need to remember that we have a connection, direct connection to him, and don't leave him out of your decision making. He can change that routine to something much better.
Well, let me tell you how this thing starts. Let me tell you how routine becomes a threat and what it does. It causes you to drift. And you actually use that word with Tyler Perry. It starts you to drift from what you used to do, you no longer do. And why is that? Well, you used to hold hands. Mm-hmm. When you were sad when you left and glad when you returned, you kissed each other before you left the house, and you kissed before you went to sleep. You went for walks in the park or for a drive, and when you sat close to each other. Can you share some other things?
Sure.
That this routine can cause?
Things that you once did, you're no longer doing them. You're not being genuine to yourself or being honest. You know, you need to ask yourself first, what's at the core of my non-existence? Because, you know, and you act different in your marriage. Why? Why are you acting different? She married you for one way or he married you for one way. Why are you changing? You know, often you hear, well, the woman let herself go. She's gained weight or whatever, but the man does too. You stop pursuing each other.
Or showing any kind of interest. Yeah, that's a killer.
Sometimes I rub on this little bald head right here. You know, I think it's fun. You know, those things that you used to do, keep it up. Or you may have married with the wrong intent. You're married now, so make it work. I
wonder what would happen if, you know, the wife's doing their routine, so she's at the kitchen washing the dishes, and the husband comes up and give her a real nice hug and kiss on the back of the neck. I bet some women was like, ah!
Oh, yeah. It's been so long. They'll say, "What do
you want?"
They don't recognize those affectionate moments. You know, bring them back. Bring them back into the marriage.
Yeah, I used to know what that meant.
And then respect each other. Don't just talk to each other any kind of way. You know, words hurt. You can't take those back.
Can't take them things back. Yeah, they hurt.
And don't take your person for granted.
Yeah. Well, we've got an acrostic. We take that word routine and we're going to give you what we have come up with each letter. So on this R, I've got 3 R's. They're good R's, but the problem is they're not being used. So in a marriage, to avoid this routine from being a problem, you have to have reconciliation. You have to have restoration, and you have to have repentance. But in a routine, all of those are lacking.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're meant to heal. So you should implement them in your marriage.
Absolutely. They would actually keep you from being like a threat. It would take the threat away.
Overbearing.
Ah.
You're not right all the time. You got to be flexible, and you use that flexibility word a minute ago. In control, and you can't be that. Marriage is a compromise, and you become as one. So don't be so overbearing and gotta have things your way.
So the two don't make two. Two supposed to be one.
Yeah.
So we can't have a controller in that relationship. No. Well, that letter U is you become unable to adapt. You can't change. You're so stuck in your routine that you just lost all degree of flexibility. It's got to be your way. It's got to be done the way you want, and that's what this routine is causing a problem.
And another problem is trying to change that person into what you want them to be. You married them for whoever they were, and you should have that same concept in your mind now. This is where he was when I met him. This is what I fell in love with. So I had to make the adjustment because I agreed to, when we made those marriage vows, that I would accept you. So stop trying to change them.
The changer, the one that does the changing, is the Holy Spirit.
Exactly.
That's the only one that can really do it. The I is for idle time, and that's just dangerous. Like we talked about this person, they went to this restaurant, but they went on one day Tuesday, one day Friday. Well, the person that wasn't at the restaurant, they had idle time. And idle time is the devil's workshop. Absolutely. And you've got these unrecognized things happening, but the person that they're happening to, they're thinking, they don't do like they used to. They don't, I hadn't had a kiss in months. And I wonder if they fooling around with somebody else, wonder what they're doing. And you allow the enemy now to start giving you lies, start telling you stuff. It's not true, but begins to give you things. So now that you're thinking the wrong thing, when you do get with them, you got that down this eye. You like or you may not give yourself fully to the situation because you got these questions, that's lingering in your mind. And this idle time is very dangerous.
Very dangerous. You don't even know if the person loved you because you've not said it in so many years. The N is for no spontaneity. You got to keep the excitement there. So things done spontaneously does that. It gives the marriage a nice little joke. Being a nurse who's somebody in cardiac arrest, they need a little shock.
I like that.
They need a joke.
I like that. I'm gonna throw this in because I enjoyed it so much. Last weekend, I'd planned this for quite a while, but I had bought tickets to a concert that I know was her favorite. I'm not going to tell you who it was, but it's one of her favorites.
Check my Facebook page. Everybody knows.
Well, that's true. Yes, she posted it right away. But it was in another state. And so I just say, save this date. Save this date. Don't plan anything with this date. And so the date came, and we went to the location and, got a hotel for the weekend and went to this event. And she doesn't know where we're going. And just before we leave the hotel to actually go to the event, I give her the tickets, and she reads them. And like she said, you can look at her Facebook page, and she got this, it was just great. And I just so enjoyed it. I mean, it just, because it was spontaneous. It was no event. It was not a birthday. It wasn't an anniversary. It was just the cause. And so I still think about it because I so enjoyed it. We got some really front row seats, and it was just really a nice thing to do.
He outdid himself. I mean, that was absolutely wonderful. You don't have to go to that extreme,
right? No,
but
it's not necessary.
Was such a wonderful thing for me, and I like this artist, and it was just fun, and it was surprising. I actually forgot about the date. I put it in my calendar and totally forgot. And he reminded me 2 days before, and I was like, ooh, I just made another commitment. Let me backtrack. But it was wonderful. And that keeps the relationship alive.
Yeah, it's nice.
And it won't be exhausting. That's what you have at the E.
That's what the E
that
is.
Gave me a no breath of fresh air.
I'm still living off of it, But, we have been talking about symptoms. And but now tell us about some of the root causes.
Root causes. We use that term a lot in nursing when something happens and we have to do an analysis of why it happened and what can we do to prevent it from happening again.
Yes.
So root cause is one of those familiar words for me. And one of them that we're listed here is selfishness, equal independence. You can't be married and have a viable marriage if you're gonna be selfish.
And we need to take
like right and act like you're single.
Like
do the same thing. You made a commitment, and a commitment started with the Lord, and He made covenants with people all through the Old and Testament, New Testament, Testament, and so that's what you've done in your marriage. We don't need this controlling person or power. Those are causes. It makes you grow slowly apart.
Lack of closeness, yes.
And anger. You got to get the anger out. You got to be compromising and you communicate, because that's what you said earlier about finding what's inside of you. Why you've got that idle time. You don't have to just let the devil take over it, but ask yourself, why am I acting this way?
Why am I angry? Yeah.
Why am I angry?
Why am I feeling this way?
Why am I disrespectful? Why am I apathetic about what happens to us? Do I need to retaliate? Talk to yourself. Analyze yourself, because nobody knows you better than you.
Yep.
So,
yes.
How do you change it?
Okay. Tough question, but I just want to tell you, the audience, your life is greater than what you have been living. Jesus has so much more for you than what you're experiencing. And this is not a criticism that you're not experiencing great life now. You may be, but what I'm saying, because we're experiencing great life, but it's going to be even better because He is directing your steps. And that's what you want. Now, if He's not, well, you can see now you are dealing with some situations. So one of the things I would suggest, you need to start to go back doing the things that you used to do.
What was the draw? What drew this person to you? What did you like about that person? Yeah. Go back to it. Yeah. And you need to treat your spouse the way Jesus does.
That's
when
the key.
You mess up, admit that you messed up. Don't be too proud.
Yeah, that's the key.
Pride.
Go before a fall, right? Actually, it was destruction, really. And so you got to be genuine. And we talked a lot about previous classes about the love languages. You need to know what your spouse's love language is. And once you do, you should do it. We've talked about getting a book by Gary Chapman, and it's called The 5 Love Languages. It's a great reference book. It's very helpful. If you don't have one, I think you should get one, because, you need to know what your spouse likes. You can actually be doing things that are the right things, but your wife or spouse doesn't recognize it because it doesn't really mean that much to them.
Right.
Right.
My take on the 5 love languages, what makes your wife or your husband tick? That's kind of a lay phrase. What makes him tick? What does he get happy about? I know it's like motorcycles. I hadn't been on the back of one with him yet. I'm kind of leery about it, but I did many years ago. But if that's what he liked, okay, I may not be the funnest person of that, but I should be willing to give it a shot. Or anything. It could be something very small and benign, but get to know that person. What do they like? And you can develop an interest in what they like, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm. And let me throw this in about as a warning, when it comes to intimacy and the things done in the bedroom should only be those things that both mutually agreed to do. The scripture talks about in the bedroom is undefiled. Well, that doesn't mean you can do anything you want to do. It means that there has to be mutual agreement for what you do. And so can't be selfish. So one example I want to give as far as, we're giving you ideas and things, and I'm sure some of them are helpful and some of them are not, but I can remember in our first marriage, I went to, each year, we both went to marriage seminars, and then they would separate us off, and the men with the men and women with the women, and so they're giving you ideas and suggestions and things to help, like we're doing. And so I was told that I should bring my wife candy and flowers. So Valentine's Day come around, and I got my heart-shaped thing of candy, and I got my bouquet of these certain kind of flowers. They weren't roses. Come to find out, she didn't eat candy, and the type of flowers I bought, she didn't like the smell because it was bothering her. And I didn't know that. And so what I'm saying is, back to the love languages, you need to know your spouse, what they like. You just can't just do stuff because somebody said it, just because what we're saying. Now, the converse of that, there was some suggestions I learned in the classes that I'm still doing now. And I do them because I like to see the response that my wife, Annquinetta, receives, and the joy that I get from seeing her response, because I enjoy making her happy. And so, there are some things that from this class, these teachings, that you can implement that would be helpful, but you got to make sure that's what your wife likes.
That's true. The intimacy portion that you mentioned, it can be routine too. I had a coworker to use this phrase to me, like, "Oh, tonight is that night I have to do my wifely duties.
Oh, wow.
I'll just go ahead and do it and then go on bed." Intimacy is not designed to be that way. That's one reason the Lord has put so much on it, emphasis on it. Thou shalt not commit adultery, because that should be between two people and only two people, and you shouldn't look at it as my wifely duties. Talk about it. Why is it a wifely duty? Why do you feel that way? Something has had to happen to make it.
As a man, that would just be an ego killer.
It would be.
To know that you're just going through the motions just for that would be. So you don't want to have a situation that you create that your intimacy is just routine. Okay. I gotta do this. That is not what we're talking about.
And the other point I want to bring about, my last husband, his favorite thing to do was, he was a couch potato. That's what I called him, because he's a sweet man, good man. But he didn't like physical activity, which I am one of those people that is not going to sit still. So you got an active person, and you got a person who enjoys sitting and watching movies and TV and That was an issue. Now I would go in and join him sometimes, but then it became like, I can't spend my life in front of television. So there's a compromise. There had to be a compromise.
Yeah.
I was there for a while, but then I went and did the things that I wanted to do or I enjoyed doing. But you've got to give. It's a give and take.
It is.
So
it really is.
if I want to walk in the park, he may need to walk in the park. I'm compromising. You got
to. That's a good point you got to make. And so I got some questions for them.
You got some questions? Okay.
Yeah. Let's see if we can help you and also give you a little bit of homework. So consider this to be homework. All right. So here's this question. We know that from not being recognized, things happen. So how do you deal with them? Well, this is what you have to consider. And we want to try to emulate this for you. We're going to ask each other these questions. We already know the answers to them for ourselves, but we want you to ask your spouse the question, and then she will ask you the question. And when you get the answer, let the person give the answer. Don't interrupt them. Don't defend. Don't try to explain. Just listen. It's very important to let them say what they feel about the question being asked. And since it's unrecognized, you're probably going to be surprised by what you hear. But we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. So let's go through this for them. And I just want to make one note. You may not only be able to get one question at a time, one night, That's true. I didn't think about that. You might take once a night, or maybe once might be a month. Because, I don't know about your situation, but if you haven't been doing this and then you ask this type of question, you might open the floodgates.
Yeah, and that would be good, though.
It would be good
That
because
would be
this person
good.
been sitting on this, not knowing how you gonna respond, and now you open the door, and it is not defensiveness.
Right.
It's not for attack. This is honest. You're seeking honest answers.
It's marriage building.
It really is.
It's preventing marriage burnout.
It really
so you
was.
are actually building on negative things in your marriage to make it positive.
Yeah. Get the termites out.
Yeah, get the termites out. Okay.
You take the first one.
Are you satisfied with the routine of our marriage? Let me give you the evil eye.
I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you. Well, do we need to do anything different?
Third question. Do you feel taken for granted, bored, or unfulfilled in our marriage relations?
The next question. Do you feel my love for you has changed?
This is a good one right here. What have I stopped doing that you wish I hadn't?
So as you can see,
bringing all that stuff that caught you, whatever it took to catch them. Are you still doing it?
Are you still doing it? And so you can see these questions are rather probing, but these questions are really, really helpful to get you out of that rut and to also expose what's keeping you in it. So again, when they tell you what they have to say, just listen. Don't say anything. Just let the person be free to say what they need to say.
Yeah. Take your feelings off your shoulders.
Exactly. So we hope this will be your assignment. You have a month, and maybe you can get through them in a month. If not, just take the time that you need to get through it. It's better than none. It's better than none. That's for sure. So let's put the goal out here.
Okay.
This is the goal.
Let the wife make the husband glad to come home.
And let him make her sorry to see him leave. That's what you want. That's what you want to shoot for. So, goal and homework. You can find us on these particular pages on our websites. You can pause that and get those information. We'll move right along from it. Next month, we're keeping that series going. So the series is titled Keeping Your Marriage Fresh. The topic that we're going to be teaching from for next month is the best remedy for a broken relationship. Wow. That's what we're going to be dealing with.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So, okay. After you answer those 5 questions, you may need to have this.
You may need to have that because you may discover
some things you never thought about.
That you thought, we have another question that we ask in other series. We ask you, rate your marriage from 1 to 10. Yeah. And we ask each spouse to rate the other spouse about their marriage and then show the number that they had. And sometimes the wife, they start with the husband. In some cases, we had a husband, he thought his marriage was a 10. The wife of that same marriage thought it was a -2. Right. And so you really had a disconnect.
Somebody had blinders on.
Serious disconnect.
Or in different marriages.
So, don't be surprised that you may have more work to do than you thought. Well, the main thing about it is prayer. Yes. And that's what we're about. That's what the difference. Jesus is the glue to any marriage if you let him be it. Let's all pray together. Father, I surrender all of me to you right now. I put you first from now on and choose to find my life, my happiness in Jesus alone. Fill me with your Son, Jesus, in such a powerful way that I will become the wife or husband you created me to be. In the power and character of the name of Jesus, I pray. Amen. God bless you. We thank God for opportunity to share this with you. And we are Otis and Annquinetta, and we are enjoying the journey. Bye-bye. See you next month, 6:30, 4th Thursday in August.